All right, this is Ubaid on behalf of B Electronics, and in this video, we'll be talking about employment and unemployment rate. Okay, so when it comes to your employment rate has to deal with percentage of people or percentage of workers in the labor force or in the workforce. All right, and your unemployment rate on the other side, this is percentage of workers who are out of the workforce. So out of the workforce. Okay, or out of the labor force. All right, so say for example, you have a circle over here. Okay, this is your total population in a given country. All right. Now, if you were to consider the total number of employed and unemployed individuals, they would make up a certain percentage of this population. Okay, so say for example, you have, okay, 60% who are employed. Okay, and let's say the other 30% are unemployed. Okay, and let's say for example, okay, you have 10% of discouraged workers. Okay, so people who are not employed, but they're not looking for work for whatever reason. Okay, maybe they have a disability. Okay, maybe they're in the hospital. Okay, maybe they cannot find work and have given up. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, now people who are in this category, 60% of the population, these are employed individuals. All right, so these are employed individuals. Okay, and the 30% over here, these are unemployed individuals. So this is unemployed. And the 10% is discouraged workers. Okay, so you have discouraged workers, workers who have been discouraged for whatever reason. Okay, maybe disability, maybe sickness, disease, maybe they're traveling, maybe they're no longer looking for work for whatever reason. Okay, so in this case, okay, those who are employed and those who are unemployed but looking for work, okay, they make up the labor force. Okay, but looking for work. So they make up the labor force. So technically speaking, 90% of the population makes up the labor force. 90% of the population, they make up the labor force. All right. To figure out the employment rate, okay, you will need to figure out 60% of 50,000 people. All right. So to do this, we use a calculator. So 0.60 times 50,000. So that will be 30,000 people out of the 50. Okay, so over here, you have 30,000 people who are employed. So 30K. So 15,000 people, okay, are unemployed. Okay, so 15,000 people are unemployed. So you have 15K over here. All right, so 15K, these are unemployed but looking for work. And over here you have 10%. So 10% of 50,000 people. Okay, this will be 5,000. Okay, so 5,000 people are discouraged workers, people who are no longer looking for work. Okay, now if you add these up, they will total, they will sum up to 50K. All right, now the employment rate, okay, is 60%. The unemployment rate is 30%. Okay, and look at an example. All right, so say for example, okay, you have an unforeseen event. Okay, so you have an unforeseen event. Okay, and because of this unforeseen event, let's say this is a natural disaster. Okay, this could be because of a disease. It could be because of some kind of a conflict. All right, now because of this unforeseen event, what's going to end up happening is people who are not ready to migrate to another country, they end up migrating to another country for a better life. Okay, now when they do migrate to another country for a better life, we consider our original ratio of employed and unemployed people. We know that we have 60% employed, we have 15%, or excuse me, 30% rather, 30%, okay, unemployed, and then the rest of it, this is discouraged workers. All right. So now when you have immigration, okay, because of which obviously the immigration agencies as well as the travel agencies uh, do make some kind of profit. Okay, however, when you have immigration because of an unforeseen event, we're not talking about people who are ready to immigrate to a country, but people who weren't ready, okay, and immigrated anyways because of the circumstances in their country. Okay, now if you have immigration and they migrate to another country, in this case, what's going to end up happening is, okay, you will have people with, let's say, PhDs, okay, let's say MBAs, okay, let's say doctorate degree, okay, they will try to find work in this workforce. All right. So now, as people with PhDs and MBAs and doctorate degrees try to find work in the workforce, okay, some of these people who are already in the workforce, okay, let's say 5% of the people in the workforce may become unemployed or may get laid off, okay, or may get fewer hours at work. Okay, so in this case, what's going to end up happening is you will have, okay, 55%, okay, 55% of the existing workforce and 5% addition because of the unforeseen event. All right, so this will be 60% as it is. Okay, and then all of a sudden you have 5% who are unemployed, they add to your 30%. Okay, so let's say this becomes 35%. Okay, so 35% are unemployed, and then all of a sudden this becomes 5%. Okay, this could also work the other way around, where the 5% become discouraged. Okay, so they're no longer looking for work. Why? Because okay, people who are in the workforce, they're overqualified. Okay, or okay, people who are in the workforce have better credentials or experience than them. Okay, so in that case, the 5% may fit into this category. And all of a sudden, you have, okay, 15% who are discouraged, okay, 25% who are unemployed, and then 60% who are employed. So you add all this up. This is 60 plus 25 plus 15. That's a total of 100%. Okay. Now, if you think about it, okay, your employment rate hasn't really changed. In this case, it's still 60%. Okay, despite the immigration, despite the addition of additional workers because of the unforeseen event. Okay, your employment rate really hasn't changed. So the employer's demand, okay, has been filled. All right. Now it's possible in the future because of the high credentials, the employer's demand may go up as well. So this may become 65%. Okay, because of the number of people with MBAs and PhDs. Okay, and this may become 20% over here, unemployed individuals. Okay, so on and so forth. But at this point, the employment rate has not really changed. Okay, but the unemployment rate, okay, changes, okay, to 25%. Okay, and the discouraged workers may change to 10% or 15%, depending on whether these workers, okay, the small percentage of workers who do not or cannot compete against those with PhDs and doctorate degrees, okay, they're either still looking for work or they become discouraged. Okay, so that's how you add and subtract unemployment and employment rate. Okay, when it comes to a growing economy. All right, now consider this. Okay, the economy is still growing, the aggregate demand is still growing, which means should the economy grow, because of immigration, okay, because of personal consumption, okay, because of investments in real estate, because of investments in the auto sector, so on and so forth. Okay, so in that case, what's going to end up happening is, okay, you may have a larger percentage of workforce who is employed. Okay, so in that case, this may become 65. Okay, 65, and this may become 20%. Or this may become 65 and this may become 10%. All right. So basically, this is how other factors, okay, apart from, um, let's just say domestic factors may impact, okay, your employment and unemployment rate. Okay. That is it for this video. On behalf of V Electronics, have yourself a great day.